Okay, so we're gonna talk about how to trigger attraction. I'm gonna give you 5 silly little games that you can play that will help boost attraction in somebody. When I first went on television with the dating thing, it didn't take long for people to start off by telling me, what qualifications do you have? What makes you qualified to teach this? And the truth is I dropped out of school. I never finished my psychology degree, and it initially made people laugh. I've now been teaching this subject for 12 years. No one laughs anymore. I have proven through the thousands of students that I've helped get good that I know what I'm talking about. At this point, many of my students have gone on to develop careers as dating experts. There's a guy in Australia, the leading dating coach in Australia is an ex-student of mine. Some of the largest dating companies in the world now are either led or their top instructor is an old student of mine. So I've proven my worth. However, back then it was a problem, and it made me think I should study. But I didn't want to go and get a degree. I wanted to learn the really good stuff, the cutting edge stuff that was great. So I found a woman by the name of Dr. Loretta Brenning. Dr. Brenning wrote a famous book, a very good book, called Meet Your Happy Chemicals, and she runs the Inner Mammal Institute. And I hired her, I'd been following her for a while, and I hired her for a day to teach me as if I was a student, but brain dump one-on-one on me on how chemicals work with attraction. And then I brought my theories to her of things I'd studied and basically ran them by her to get confirmation. And what was fascinating to me about this is it altered my perception on how I teach dating. And up until that point, everything I taught about dating was say this, this happens, say this, this happens. After talking to her, it became more about brain chemistry because she taught me how the brain processes attraction. In short, there are 4 chemicals that generate positivity and positive feelings in the brain. They are endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. And oxytocin is the love chemical. In fact, I found it fascinating to realize there is no such thing as the emotion of love. There are only 6 recorded emotions, and love isn't one of them. It's happiness, sadness, anger, disgust, surprise, and fear. They are the 6 emotions. Love isn't up there. Love is specifically a chemical in the brain called oxytocin. It's probably a bit more complicated than that. There's probably other things as well, like I said about investment and hardwiring and everything. But if you think about oxytocin specifically from a form of investment, it kind of makes sense. Because oxytocin is released, it's the bonding chemical. It's released when you interact and have a connection with somebody. It's released through good communication, it's released in laughter, it's released in touch, and it's released in sex. So if you remember the dog analogy I gave earlier, if I give you a puppy and you hold it for a day, or if I give you a puppy and hold it for 10 minutes, it doesn't really mean anything to you. That's because that puppy hasn't had enough time to generate oxytocin in you. But the more time you look after the puppy, the more time you spend petting it and grooming it and feeding it and putting in all that investment and touching it, you're actually building and receiving oxytocin for doing those things. And when the dog makes you laugh, you're receiving more oxytocin. And when you hug it and you go, oh my God, I love you, you are creating the oxytocin in yourself. And that's where the investment comes from. The more you do this, the more oxytocin is created, and the more you love the animal. What that really means is the more oxytocin you self-produce from taking actions towards the animal. So knowing that, it can help you understand attraction, in that attraction is an escalation. You get more oxytocin from sex than you do from a good conversation. You get more oxytocin from laughter than you do from a good conversation, but less than from sex. You ever heard anybody say that the key to a woman's heart is making her laugh? It works the other way. It doesn't matter. It's not just women, it's people. If someone makes you laugh, you will be attracted to them because laughter triggers oxytocin. So what I'm going to show you are 5 stupid games that are designed to play with people when you're bored and you can't think of anything else to say, but that might make them laugh. And this is all the concept of investment. Everything I'm about to show you is a riddle or a puzzle, but they're designed so that you memorize them once and you just know them. But when somebody's trying to resolve them, they don't know them, and they're so stupid that they're going to go, ah. But the act of doing that is going to make them invest because they're sitting there trying to solve it. And they're putting time into trying to solve it, and that's time that they're spending with you. They're actively engaging their brain, and if you're making them laugh because one of them cracks them up, even though you didn't tell a joke, a lot of people laugh at their embarrassment because they couldn't solve it or how stupid it is, and you get the benefit of it. So I could sit here trying to teach you how to be a comedian, but I actually think we're going to do a lot better off if I just show you 5 simple games that you can play. And I'd strongly suggest you collect more. I often find that what happens is when I show somebody these games, they then go away and will share one with me, and I collect more. I'm going to show you 5. I know at least 30. But again, that's what we teach in the IAI, in the Internal Advancement Institute, is where we teach this kind of stuff if people want more than that. But 5 is plenty, more than enough for anyone. Okay, so I'm going to draw the first one. This one's a really simple one. Well, not really simple, a very common one. People may have heard of it before. It's the 9 dots. Do you guys know this? Okay, so the idea, this is puzzle 1. Raise your hand if you know this one already. Cool, 2 guys do, the rest don't. That's important to know. When you know something, you tend to think everyone knows it, but actually, a bunch of people in this room don't know it. So it's a good sign. It means that if you use it to random people, they probably won't know it. The idea is to join all 9 dots using only 4 lines, straight lines, and not taking your pen off the paper. Now, I'm not going to sit here and let you guys solve these. I'm going to solve them for you so you can see them. Now, what would work would be a square, but it wouldn't touch the middle dot. So the way we do it is we go up to here, across to here, outside the box, come down through these 2, and then up. This is where the phrase think outside the box comes from. You have to think outside the box in order to solve the puzzle. If they don't know it, that will drive people crazy because they'll be trying to figure every configuration within the 9 lines, and it can't, within the 9 dots, and it can't be solved unless they come outside. It's the kind of thing that makes you go, oh, of course, of course. Another one that people know is draw this object without taking your pen off the paper. You guys ever seen that before? If you haven't seen it, it's done like this. You do a backwards Z, then you do the triangle for the top of the house. You go down, you complete the cross, and then you go down the other side. So again, if they don't know the solution, they'll be sitting there trying to solve this for ages, and you're cracking them up. Okay, let's get an eraser. I'm going to show you a couple more. This one I really love. They have to pay attention to what's going on. I'm going to draw some shapes. That's 2. 1. This is 3. Want to guess this one? It's 6. That's 2. This is 3. 1. Right now, you're all thinking this makes no sense whatsoever. And that's because it's nothing to do with what I'm drawing on the board. It's how many words I'm saying for the numbers. 1 is 1. That's 2 is 2. This is 3 is 3.
So you can just make up whatever denomination you want it to be?
This was, want to guess this one? It's 6. So I'm using the amount of words, and that's the pattern. So again, it's going to be like, no, come on. But it is there. Another one that I love doing that isn't a drawing one, it's a vocal one. It's you get somebody to guess a sequence of things they know, like countries around the world or train stations in your local city, and you will say yes or no as they say them, and they have to work out what the connection is. So they'll say like, I don't know, America, and you'll say yes, and they'll say France, and you're like no, and they're like Australia, and you're yes, Germany, yes, Italy, no, and basically you say yes or no based on whether they are sure of their answer or not. So every time they're like Italy question mark, you're like no, because you're analyzing how confident they are in what they're saying, and that will drive them nuts. They won't be able to work that one out for ages. But again, makes them laugh. Like, oh my God, that's great. And then the last one's this is a really silly one. I like this one. And like I said, I've got tons of these. So draw this image here. What's that? It's a giraffe standing outside a window.
Yeah.
See how the laughter? That's what I'm after. Everyone that laughed in the room, that's oxytocin. It's not huge. It's not like, oh my God, that's amazing. But if you're not funny and you don't have natural humor, this will work. It's Cinco de Mayo today. What's that? The clue is in Cinco de Mayo. It's a top-down view of a Mexican on a bicycle. There's like a bunch of these you can have. What's that? Tandem bicycle, yeah, exactly. And so, same thing. And you see, once you start playing, it's funny and people laugh. And this is it. So I've got a stockpile of so many of these. Like I said, that's 5 simple ones for you guys to use to go away with. When you're stuck in a conversation, the assumption is I've started the conversation. I'm talking about something they're already thinking about. I've now shifted the conversation to aims, goals, ambitions, or hobbies. And again, it's as simple to do that as just saying to somebody, hey, so, what do you do when you're not working here? Or, all right, I'm curious. Whenever I meet people, I always ask them, what's like your big aim in the world? What's your plan? Anything like that will shift into those good conversations and have the conversation about those topics. Talk about it. And then after that, if you're looking like, wow, I don't know what to talk about now, pull these out. They'll make them laugh and it will give you something to do. The best thing is while they're sitting there trying to solve it, if the conversation goes silent, it doesn't matter because they're trying to think of the problem. So, and you can Google riddles. In fact, I've been in a relationship with Eve for 5 years. Our anniversary was last week. And with Brooke, we've been together for 7 years now. In the relationships that I'm in, conversations sometimes just die. And I have go-tos to keep the conversation going. And one of them is car journeys, because that's where conversation always runs out. And rather than us all just sitting in silence in the car, I pull out fun facts on my phone, and I read out the facts as questions. So I'll find a fun fact and ask it as a question and see if they can guess the answer. And it's a really fun game. You'd be surprised how fast that makes time go. Or I'll pull out a book of riddles and I'll read through the riddles. And that's how I improve these and get a lot more of them. Those are great conversation fillers, so I recommend all of you do that.